What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. You know, I've seen a lot of other landscape photographers and photographers in general on YouTube kind of do a video talking all about what's in my bag. You know, they like to discuss what kind of gear they use when they're out and about in the field taking pictures. And this could go anything from cameras, lenses, tripods, bags, zippers versus Velcro versus clips. Okay, maybe not that last part, but you get my point. And while I think it's fun to kind of see what other people are using to take pictures with, at the end of the day, I really don't think it's about the gear. If you have a decent camera and a good solid tripod, you can get as good images as anyone else out there. You don't need the Canon 5D Mark 25 or a 35 stop ND filter. What really sets apart good photographers from great ones? It's not what's in your bag, it's what's in your head. So, this video, I'll be telling you guys what's in my head when it comes to landscape photography. Let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to break it down into 5 concepts that I think will greatly enhance your landscape photography. And for all of these, you don't need to pay a cent. Let's start with number 1, staying motivated. Honestly, this is absolutely basic, but I really think it needs to be said. When you're out in the field and it's 120 degrees, like here in Phoenix sometimes in the summer, or it's freezing cold, or it's raining, or it's 4 a.m. and you just don't want to get out of bed in the morning, it's extremely difficult to stay motivated enough to get out there and keep taking pictures and keeping that mind creative. But let me tell you something, you will never regret it. I've never once come back from a photography trip or a hike and said, you know what, it just wasn't worth it. I didn't get any pictures. Forget it. You know, I could have been binge watching Food Network. I think there's something inherently natural in all of us to want to get out and be part of nature. I think it's part of our makeup. And that's why, even if you don't get any pictures when you're out and about, you'll still gain something. Which brings me to number 2, learn from the past. Instead of coming home from a trip and saying, wow, that sunrise was gorgeous. The way the light filtered across the valley was unbelievable. But, you know, I wasn't really in a good spot to get any pictures. Oh well, forget about it. Moving on. No, you should be taking that experience and learning from it and applying what you've learned to the next time you go out. Maybe you'll come across that spot again, or at least similar conditions. And you'll be able to say next time, hey, I remember the way the sun lit up everything in the valley down here. And I see how the clouds are forming over there. I know exactly where I need to set up for the shot based on my previous experience. Or you might say, hey, I remembered that back in the spring, these had beautiful flowers on them. Let me come back here next spring and see if I can get a shot. We can always learn from our experiences and our mistakes, such as forgetting to take off the lens cap or leaving your tripod at home. Just be open to it and learn from it and apply it to the future. Number 3, prepare in advance. And I'm not just talking about the weather, like bringing a jacket or an extra pair of gloves, or in Arizona, like 50 gallons of water. Of course you need to know the forecast, but besides that, you should also kind of know where's the sun gonna rise, where's the moon gonna be, is the Milky Way out if you're doing star photography. Use apps and software to try to scout out locations beforehand, so you have an idea of what the terrain is gonna look like, where you can find parking, and where the best viewpoints are. Search for images online of the location that you're going to, so you can kind of see what's working for them and what's not. If you're going to a national park or a reserve of some sort, check beforehand to see if you have to pay to park, what time it actually opens in the morning. If you know there's a chance for some wildlife, maybe bring a long lens. If you're gonna be by water or the beach, bring a steady tripod so you can get some long exposures. So much of landscape photography is actually done before you even head out. I've had cases where I found individual trees on Google Earth that I think, hey, that'll actually work for a nice image. This leads me to number 4. Know what to look for. Okay, so you did your research, you're out in the field, you have your jacket, you have 1,000 gallons of water, you're all ready to get your shot. You even remembered to take off the lens cap. How do you find a good image? Unfortunately, there's no real quick and easy tip that'll get you amazing images every time. But one really helpful piece of advice that I can give is simplicity. When you're out and about, so often you are surrounded by chaos. Everywhere you look, there's trees, grass, rocks, water, sand, clouds. There's so much of it all around you that it's really hard to hone in on something that is interesting. Because with the human eye, we're so used to seeing all of it at once, taking a picture of everything all at once, it's not going to be that interesting because that's what people see anyway. It's difficult, yet very worthwhile, to try to find that one or a couple elements that really work together to make a compelling image. It could be one individual tree, or in the case of where I am, a cactus, set against a beautiful backdrop. It could be the way the light kind of plays with all the components of your scene, lighting up one foreground subject while everything else is in shadow. You can use weather conditions such as mist or fog to kind of create separation between your subject and everything else in the scene. Find ways to get simplicity in your images. In the case of landscape photography, less is more. Use leading lines to help guide the viewer's eye from foreground to background. And put down your gear every once in a while. Just walk around and try to crop a scene using your hands. Try to find a vantage point without having to lug around all your gear. All these individual pieces can come together to help train your eye to start seeing scenes that work and finding subjects that are interesting. And after a while, it becomes second nature. I just saw 3 coyotes cross the trail back there. Hopefully they don't think I'm a roadrunner. And finally, number 5, have patience and keep at it. When you've done your planning and you're on location and you have all your gear and you know what to look for, don't rush it. We're so eager to get that one shot and then move on to something else that we don't really give it time to think if we got the best image. And if you got to that spot and you found that killer composition, but the light just isn't there, or the clouds are distracting, just wait. Things change very quickly. And never say, oh, that place, I've already been there 1,000 times, there's nothing new. Know the place like the back of your hand. That way, you can wake up one morning, look outside, and say, hey, the sun's over there, I see there's beautiful clouds forming up here. I know exactly where to go to get that killer shot. So there you go. Those are the top 5 pieces of advice from inside my head. It won't cost you a penny, and you won't have to lug them around in your bag. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and not just enjoyed it, but learned something from it, because ultimately that's the goal. If you did enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up, please subscribe if you haven't already, and crack out that keyboard and write up a comment. Tell me whether you agree or disagree with some of my advice. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. What's inside your head when you're out in the field? Until next time, out.